అందరికీ నమస్కారములు. Today is the third day of our classes on Dharma Sastras by Shri Nithin Sridhar ji. So far on our course, this is the second batch of advanced course of certificate course on Sanatana Dharma. This is only for the people who have successfully completed the basic course. We already had 6 courses, basic courses in English, and 1 basic course in Telugu. And also we had some courses on yoga. In the basic course, we have covered the basics of the various parts of the literature on Vedic literature. So in the advanced course, we are going more into details of each topic. So far, we have completed Vedas, Vedangas, Upanishads, Darshanas, Vedic mathematics, Shodasa Samaskaramulu. Also, we have completed Panchangam and Samskrutam and also Yoga. So far, we have completed 90% of our coursework. We are left with only the Dharma Shastras and Dharma Sutras from Mahabharata. After that, we'll have Ramayanam also, 2 classes on Ramayanam, and also 4 or 5 classes on Samskritam learning. We are going to have an important event, that is Sankha Prakshalana, on 13th Sunday morning. To prepare for you for that, we had a class. We will have a class on 10th of July, where CSR Prabhugaru will give you some instructions and give you some practice exercises. Now with this, let us start the session with paying respects to our country by reciting Vande Mataram by Challa Chittibabu Garu. So let us request him to recite Vande Mataram, please.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujalam Sufalam, Malayajasitalam, Sasyasyaamalam Mataram, Vande Mataram. Suprajosna pulakitayaminim, pullakusumita drumadala shobhinim, suhasinim, sumadhura bhashinim, sukhadam varadam mataram, Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram.
Vande Mataram. ధన్యవాదములండి చల్లా చిట్టిబాబు గారు. Thank you so much. Now let us request Jayasri Garu to chant Pradhana, please.
1 minute meditation, then Omkaram, 3 times Omkaram. Om. 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 ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आन शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामवित्र्यवतो ॐ श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। गुरुरेव गति गुरुमेव भजे गुरुणैव सहास्मि नमो गुरवे न गुरोः परमं शिशुरस्मि गुरोः मतिरस्ति गुरौ मां पाहि गुरो ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। मातृदेवो भव पितृदेवो भव आचार्यदेवो भव अतिथिदेवो भव ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्।
శ్రీ గురు
ధన్యవాదాలు.
నమః. శ్రీ గురుభ్యో నమః. హరి ఓం. ధన్యవాదములండి జయశ్రీ గారు.
ధన్యవాదాలు గురుగారు.
Thank you so much. Now let us request Nithin Sridhar ji to continue our webinar, please.
Thank you very much. Namaste. Apologies for being a few minutes late today. Let me begin with the prayer. Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadrakali Kapalini Durga Kshama Shiva Dhatri Swaha Swatha Namostute Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavatrapta Dehaya Shri Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Bharati Karuna Patram Bharati Padabhushanam Bharati Padamarudham Bharati Tirthamashraye Vidya Vinaya Sampannam Vitaragam Vivekinam Vande Vedanta Tattvakyam Vidishekara Bharati. Sadashivasamārambhām Shankaracharya-madhyamām Asmadacharya-paryantām Vande Guru-paramparam. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So in the last two sessions of this short deliberation on the brief introduction to Dharma Shastra, we first saw a definitional understanding of Dharma. Especially, we built an argument about what Dharma is from its etymology as through Dharana, Dharayati iti Dharma. And then we elaborated on what does this Dharana means in an individual context, how Dharma, the term, the phrase, when we use Dharma, it is a reference to human action, and it is a reference to a particular kind of action, those actions which can lead the performer to attainment of punya, sukha, swarga, chitta shuddhi, and moksha. Now in the yesterday session, we had a brief discussion on Hindu epistemology, that is the theory of knowledge, how the knowledge arises, and what are the authentic sources from which knowledge about Dharma can be acquired. We also saw briefly the nature of the subject matter dealt in the Dharma Shastras, which is very, very important to, while reading the texts, while reading the Smriti Shastras, trying to understand and interpret the text. It's very important to have a background about whether something being said is in the context of Vyavahara or Achara or Prashchitta, or whether a particular statement is a Vidhi or Nishedha, or is it Arthavada. See, all this we briefly looked at in the yesterday session. Let us now continue the discussion today, and we will see a broader classification of tenets of Dharma itself, different types of Dharma. I mean, we won't be able to go deep into any individual aspects of Dharma, individual principles of Dharma, but we will look into a broader classification, broader understanding of how to approach these principles of Dharma, how to place them, how to locate them when we are having a discussion about Dharma. Let me share my screen. Is the full screen visible?
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Just give me a second. I'll be back.
Yeah, okay.
Just a second.
Okay, no problem.
Let me share the screen again. Hope this is visible.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have titled the session as Samanya and Vishesha Dharma. As we saw yesterday, that there are general principles and there are specific tailor-made principles of Dharma. We will look into all of this today. But first, let us begin with actions or karma itself. we already saw that dharma and adharma are designations for human actions. But of course, there are much more nuances discussed in the Shastras about the nature of actions, about the cause of actions, and about the types of actions. So at one place in Manusmriti, it says how the actions arise, how it arises from desire, from sankalpa and kama, which in turn leads to karma. Or in other places, we see the term avidya kama karma. So from avidya, the ignorance about our true nature as the Brahman itself, because of this ignorance, we identify ourselves with this body-mind complex. And therefore, from this identification arises the desire. Desire to the mama, aham and mama, ahankara, mamakara. So this mamakara arises and this desire for worldly pleasure, worldly objects arises. And therefore, to fulfill those desires, the kama, the karma arises. So another way to look is the sankalpa kama karma, wherein the sankalpa stands for ascertainment of the relationship between cause and effect. So the psychologically, we first ascertain that we come to know, we gain knowledge that a particular course of action leads to a particular result. Therefore, understanding that the desire is something good for us, understanding that it is something that we want, then there is a desire in us to want to attain that result. And this desire then makes us to strive for perform the said action to attain that. So this is the, to put it very simply, the nature of action, how action comes to be. Now, there are different ways these actions can be divided. One was the two buckets of dharma and adharma, but there are other ways to understand also. The first is vihita karma versus nishiddha karma. We already saw this, right? Vihita karmas are dharma, nishiddha karmas are adharma. But here the stress, when we say vihita or nishiddha term, the stress is from the perspective of highlighting the fact that vihita karmas are actions which are either prescribed or permitted by the Shastras. So prescribed means it is obligatory, compulsory. Permitted means it is not obligatory, it is not compulsory, but it is permissible to do to attain some particular results that we want. On the other hand, nishiddha karmas are those actions which are prohibited in the Shastras. So vihita karmas are the beneficial actions which leads to hita, overall well-being, whereas nishiddha karmas are unpleasant actions, actions which will lead us to dukkha, unpleasant results. Now, when we speak about this vihita karma, actions permitted by the Shastras or prescribed by the Shastras or allowed by the Shastras, actions which we put into the bucket of dharma, we will see that there is a further classification into three types as nitya karma, naimittaka karma, and kamya karma. Now, nitya karma means it is fixed and obligatory actions that has to be performed throughout one's life. So here nitya need not mean every day. It could be certain actions that are to be performed every day, such as sandhya upasana for the dvijas. This is a nitya karma and it has to be performed twice or thrice a day throughout the life. But the nitya term itself, nitya means eternal. But here the nitya simply means that it is to be performed throughout one's life, and but the duration or the gap between the performance itself need not always be every day. That is, in some cases such as Sandhya Vandana, it has to be performed every day. But there are certain sacrifice, certain yajnas mentioned in the Vedas for the Brahmanas to perform, which happens to be only once in 15 days. But it has to be performed throughout life. So that is the idea. Nitya Karma is about the idea that it is a obligatory performance. It is not optional, it is obligatory. A non-performance also leads to some kind of fault, for some kind of dosha as per the Mimamsa. And then we have Naimityaka Karma. Again, this is occasional duties. Only when that particular occasion arises, these are to be performed, such as when there is a birth of children, or we perform certain samskaras, right? At different points in life. Say during Vivaha, we do Vivaha samskara. If somebody passes away, we do the Antyeshti samskara. So these are the ritualistic duties that are to be performed only in particular when that particular occasion when it is to be performed arises. And then there is Kamya Karma, elective actions, elective duties to be performed only for fulfillment of certain particular desires, fulfillment of certain particular results. For example, in the Vedas mentioned about Chaitra sacrifice to be performed when one desires cattle. We know from Ramayana the famous Putra Kameshti Yajna for attainment of a Putra. Similarly, we have Rajasuya Yajna, Ashwamedha Yajna that are performed by kings who are looking to conquer their enemies. So these are Kamya Karma. Kamya Karmas are also Vihita, that is, they are permitted by the Shastras, but they are not obligatory. Kamya means if you have a desire, if you want to attain this particular result set by a particular yajna, then you can do, then you can do that yajna. Otherwise, there is no compulsion, there is no obligation. But Nitya Naimitya Karmas, there is an obligation for those who are eligible to perform them. They have to perform them. If they do not perform them, there is some form of dosha that arises. Because all this, for example, the samskaras, the very name samskara means purifying, sanctifying. So they purify an individual when they are performed. Be it Jata Karma, when the after the baby is born, the Namakarana, or the Upanayana, Vivaha, or any other parts of these samskaras, all are purifying in nature. So whatever a particular person is eligible for, those samskaras have to be done to attain that form of purification. Now, if it is not done, then there is a non-attainment of that purification. So therefore, that is itself is a dosha, because it has been made obligatory. So you will not be able to attain those fruits. So this is one way. There is the dharma bucket, adharma bucket, vihita karmas, dharma bucket, nishida karmas, adharma bucket. And among the vihita karma, we have nitya karma, naimitaka karma, and kamya. Nitya is obligatory to be done throughout one's life. Naimitaka only when the occasion arises. Kamya is elective. It is up to the individual whether he or she wants it or not. Then we have another way of classification, and this I think most of you would be already knowing. This is about the karmas themselves. What kind of karmas an individual has taken birth with. So the burden of karma or the purva janma, the punji of the purva janma. So we have the Sanchita karma, Prarabdha karma, Agami karma. So the Sanchita karma, simply put, is the sum of one's past karmas. So it is the sum total of all the past karmas that were done in the past. So when it is said that sum total of past karmas, what it means is the actions themselves are lost, right? The past is not existing. Even 1 second ago, what happened, it is gone. So what does it mean, the sum total of past karmas? It means the karmic merit or demerit, the punya papa that was generated from the actions that were done in the past. That means past lives. Sanchita karma, the past refers to the past lives. We might have taken thousands of lives before this current one. So the sum total of all the kind of karmic merits and demerits, that is punya, papa, the potencies which were generated in the past lives, that is called as Sanchita karma, the sum total of it. And this sum total of all this karma constitute what is called as Karana Sharira, or a causal body. So in the Vedanta, you will see an enumeration that we are not just the physical body. Each individual, each Jivatma is endowed with, he becomes self-identified with 3 kinds of body. There is physical body, Sthula Sharira. There is subtle body called as Linga Sharira or Sukshma Sharira. The Sukshma Sharira is made up of our Indriyas or Jnanendriyas or Karmendriyas, Panchaprana, as well as our Manas. And then there is Karana Sharira, causal body, which is basically the abode of all our previously performed karmas. That is the punya papa, storehouse of our punya papas, the sum total of all the punya papas from all the actions that were performed in the previous lives. So this sum total, this Karana Sharira itself is called as Sanchita karma, the sum total of karmas in the Karana Sharira, stored in the Karana Sharira, is Sanchita karma. Now, a portion of that Sanchita karma, when it matures, when Ishvara decides that this particular set of punya papas, the potencies, are ready to bear fruit, are ready to mature, are ready to bear fruit, want to find self-expression, then this set of a particular small bucket out of this Sanchita karma, small group of punya papam out of the Sanchita karmas, they then take upon the body, Sukshma and Sthula Sharira, through birth, right? So this set of matured punya papa, which is ready to bear fruit, is called as Prarabdha karma. So it is Prarabdha karma, simply put, is that part of the Sanchita karma which has given rise to the current birth and of an individual, and the experiences that the individual will go through from his kaya, vacha, manasa, body, speech and mind in this current life. So, in colloquial we say, "Arre, my prarabdha. I'm suffering now because of my prarabdha." So both the suffering as well as sukha and dukkha in this life, or the kind of people we made, kind of challenges we are put into, the kind of life situations we fall into. So the entire Jyotish Shastra, for example, wherein all these individual readings they do, it is all based on trying to understand the prarabdha karma. So the grahas are different aspects of our own consciousness. They are different aspects. Graha means grahana. Grahana means capturing. So they indicate different parts of our own prarabdha karma that has given rise to this current birth. So prarabdha karma is that which has already begun fructifying, began giving fruits, and the first fruit it gives is a particular kind of birth to an individual. particular kind of parents, particular kind of body, particular kind of physical condition, biological condition, psychological condition, family condition, environment condition, right? So this is the explanation for this question that is often there in philosophical circles, that why is somebody born with a golden spoon and why somebody is born without even a spoon? So the thing is, why is somebody rich, somebody poor, somebody in a better condition, somebody in a more difficulties, and all these diversities that we see in the life, some in a better position, some in more pitiable condition. So all these can be explained using this understanding about Sanchita karma and Prarabdha karma. And then there is Agami karma or Kriyamana karma also we call it. These are the actions that we are performing here and now. So the Prarabdha puts us into particular situations, but there is always option for us. There is a free will for us to decide, to make decisions about how to respond to those situations. The kind of decisions we take. Say, for example, we are in a bad place financially. So we have an option to either rob a bank, rob a temple to make a money, or we have an option to work hard in an honest, genuine, sincere manner and try our best to make our ends meet. We may not be rich, but we may have just enough to meet the necessities for ourselves and our family, sure, but we will be leading a dharmika life. So these are the kind of options that, and this is a very simple example, the life throws at us even more complicated choices, and often the choice is not white and black, it is different shades of gray. So but we have this choice, we have this free will to make choice, and this exertion of free will, the actions that we then do by exertion of this free will, is what constitute the Agami karma. Agami means the results of these actions will fructify, they will manifest in the future, including future lives. So I hope you understood the gist. There is Sanchita, there is Prarabdha, and there is Agami. So this is the functioning of karma and karma phala. And everybody, whether you subscribe to karma siddhanta or not, the karmas function in the world. The karma siddhanta functions in the world. Our belief or not, our subscription or not doesn't matter. A good simple example for this is if you study for exam, you will pass the exam. If you don't study for the exam, you fail the exam. Or if you cheat in the exam also, you can pass the exam. But if you cheat and get caught, then you will be rusticated from the exam. So the point here is, in all the three instances that I mentioned with regarding to exam, they will come to happen only when there is a relationship between karma and karma phala. If the karma performed doesn't lead to the phala, if there is no causal relationship between action and the result of the action, then the very functioning of the universe will not happen. The universe will stop to function. Therefore, whether we believe in karma siddhanta or not, it doesn't matter, because karma, the law of karma is absolute. It is the very basis of how the universe functions. Now, moving forward, we have been discussing dharma, of course. So there are certain ways the dharma also can be divided. Certain divisions of dharma also. One way to classify dharma is pravritti dharma and nivritti dharma. We find Adi Shankaracharya in his Upodghata, in his introduction to Bhagavad Gita, he brings out this. how for the welfare of the universe, dharma of the two varieties were created and by Brahma himself, and it has to be performed. There is pravritti dharma and nivritti dharma. Nivritti dharma is the path of the renunciation. It is path for purely pursuing the singular pursuit of moksha. It is the path of sannyasa. It is the path for those who have transcended desire, who have developed dispassion to the world, dispassion to worldly pursuits. So Shankaracharya says how the Kumaras, Sananda and other Kumaras, they followed this path. Shuka also followed this path. So we have all this. Shankaracharya himself followed this path, right? But what about those who have not transcended desire, who very much are filled with worldly desires? For them is the pravritti dharma, the path which involves the pursuit of artha and kama within the confines of dharma and with an orientation to moksha. You see, that means pravritti dharma is pursuit of all the four purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And therefore it is a path of the grihasthashramas, the grihasthas, the householders, those with desires. So all this brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha all come under this pravritti dharma. Only the sannyasa comes under nivritti dharma. The purpose of pravritti dharma, purpose of anchoring our life with pravritti dharma is to ensure that even though we are pursuing artha kama, we are also slowly moving towards moksha, slowly moving towards nivritti dharma, slowly developing faculties and the competencies needed to finally renounce the world and practice nivritti dharma. So without pravritti dharma, there is also third path, neither nivritti dharma nor pravritti dharma. And third path is basically the path of bhoga, the path of unrestrained, unhinged pursuit of artha kama. There is no ethical considerations, where there is only driven by our greed and lust and other things. And obviously, there's such a path, it may feel attractive in the beginning. It will give some form of pleasure, but eventually it will lead to dukkha. Now, other classification, which we will be discussing in much more detail today, is Samanya Dharma and Vishesha Dharma. Samanya Dharma, as I mentioned earlier, they are the universal ethical principles. Samanya or Sadharana means that which is common to everyone, that which is equally applicable to each and every person in this world, irrespective of their time, place, gender, nationality, religion, ethnicity. Doesn't matter. There is no, it doesn't matter where you are, to what community you belong to, what identity you have, what gender you have. These are the tenets of dharma that can be practiced by one and all. And we know what is dharma. Dharma is that which leads to abhyudaya and nishreyasa, material welfare and spiritual well-being. So overall well-being. So these are the tenets by whose practice every individual of the world can find happiness, can find sukha, can find attain punya, chitta shuddhi, etc. On the other hand, there is also Vishesha Dharma. Vishesha means special, specialized, tailor-made. So these are the duties and obligations, those principles of Dharma that are unique to an individual, depending upon kala, time, desha, place, patrata, eligibility, the competencies, the varna, our ritual state, which is determined by ritual competency, which is determined by Janma Gunakarma, ashrama, our station in life, whether we are brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa. So all these Vishesha Dharmas are, though there are many in number and wide range of classification, usually the Dharma Shastras use the macro framework of Varnashrama Dharma. So within this Varnashrama Dharma, all other kinds of Vishesha Dharma are also enumerated. So there is Samanya Dharma, then there is Vishesha Dharma. So the nature of Vishesha Dharma is everybody is not eligible for all these Vishesha Dharma, because by nature these are specialized tailor-made duties for different people with different temperament, different life conditions, different competencies, different capabilities, and based on their different where they are in their long spiritual journey. So we are this is not our first life, this is not our last life. Not everybody is going to attain moksha in this life. 99.99% will not. So we are all in a long trajectory, long road towards moksha. Each of us are traveling our own path towards moksha. Though the goal is same, our path is not always same. We may share our path with some people, we may not share with many others. There might be intersecting junctures wherein people from different paths will converge for some time, but then they will again go on their own paths. But even in the same path, there will be some people who are ahead of us, some people who are behind us. So where we are in this long road towards moksha, based on that, the Shastras, the Rishis, in their compassion, have given us various identifying markers, and based on those markers, they have given us different paths. So even in the purely Adhyatmika terms, you have this different paths, such as there is Bhakti Marga, there is Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, there is Raja Yoga, there is Kundalini Yoga. See, this is a diversity. These are all different methods. Similarly, in performance of Dharma also, there is Vishesha Dharma, there is Varna Dharma, Ashrama Dharma, Varnashrama Dharma, Guna Dharma, there is Kala Dharma, Desha Dharma, Yuga Dharma, there is Putra Dharma, Pitru Dharma, Dharma of the husband, the Pati Dharma, Dharma of the wife, Patni Dharma or Stri Dharma, Purusha Dharma, Stri Dharma. See, all these are different forms of Vishesha Dharma based on many considerations. And then we have the classification of Swadharma and Paradharma. So most of you will be aware of famous sloka from Bhagavad Gita. Swadharmo nidhanam shreya. Right? It is better to die while performing our own dharma rather than to perform somebody else's dharma. Swadharma means one's own dharma. Again, we have to remember what is this one's own dharma means. It is, or even in the case of Vishesha Dharma also. So one's own dharma means that path which is most beneficial, most suitable for an individual. That path, those principles, those tenets of dharma, which when performed by the particular individual, is sure to lead him on the path towards Abhyudaya and Nishresa. So Paradharma means those are also tenets of dharma, paths of dharma, methods of dharma, but they are not suitable to an individual, or an individual may not be eligible or competent or capable to practice that path. You may say, no, I don't believe in all this. I would believe in equality of all practices. Therefore, it is my wish I can practice anything. So sure, one can try to practice anything, that is fine. But unless one have the required capabilities, one will not earn the fruit of such a practice. So you may say that I will practice anything and everything, but you may not get the desired fruits, because the very purpose of the Shastra is to indicate what is the best path through which you can attain Abhyudaya Nishreyasa. So that is the very definition of Dharma we saw, right? Now, if you say I will do anything and everything, then that does not mean that you will get the result of Abhyudaya Nishreyasa just because you think you can do anything and everything. So come back to this extreme example about you want to earn money, and you can either rob a bank or you can work hard as a bank manager. Now, if your intention is to only rob a bank, only earn money without anything else in mind, then sure, go ahead and rob a bank. But if your intention is to make money in such a way that it is beneficial to you in your long journey towards moksha, that is beneficial to you and your family in generating not just the money, but also in generating the punya and anchoring yourself in dharma as a means to attain sukha, swarga and moksha, then you cannot say I will do anything and everything. Then you have to work as a bank manager and not rob a bank, right? I hope you are understanding what I'm trying to say here. So swadharma means one's own dharma, or the path of dharma that is most suitable for an individual, through which an individual can attain Abhyudaya Nishresa. And this Swadharma is a combination of Samanya Dharma, which is universal and for everybody, and Vishesha Dharma, which is the tailor-made for an individual. Paradharma is the dharma of another person, right? So the Paradharma is basically Swadharma of another person. What is Swadharma to me would be Paradharma to you, unless you also possess the same competencies or you also tick the same boxes of eligibility to perform them, right? Even then our life situations will not be same. How we react, our vasanas, our samskaras, all will not be same. So even there will be many permutations and combinations and many probabilities, many changes, many diversity there also. Now, coming to Samanya Dharma, I have quoted here a portion from Taittiriya Upanishad and Shankaracharya's Bhashya on it. The idea is, we have currently, many people have this idea is that ethics, such as, speaking truth, not causing injury to others, not stealing. See, all these principles are sab chalta hai. That is, they are not absolute. That is, we have a choice whether we want to do it or not, and there are no consequences of that choice. See, we always have a choice, fine, but there are consequences to the choice. But we have a feeling that these are optional to us. We may be very much truthful when it is convenient to us, or we may resort to falsehood when it is not convenient to us. And that is the nature of the world. But it is important to understand that there will be consequences. So there is a very wonderful idea in Taittiriya Upanishad. We have this Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara, right? The teacher, after teaching Veda to a brahmachari, he instructs him about how to lead a life. Speak the truth, do your duty, never swerve never deviate from the study of the Veda. Do not cut off the thread of the offsprings after going away after finishing your brahmacharya. Never deviate from truth, never deviate from dharma, never neglect your own welfare, never neglect your own prosperity, never neglect adhyayana and adhyapana Veda. So this is in the context of a Brahmana Brahmachari, the Veda part. But the point is, the rest of them, these are all Samanya Dharma. Speak the truth, do your Swadharma, get married, have children. always follow the path of dharma, pursue artha, see, all pursue well-being, kushalam, right? Here, Shankaracharya in his commentary makes a very important observation. He says, the instruction beginning with the Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara, etc., is to inculcate that before the acquisition of the knowledge of Brahman, that is, before now you have finished your Veda studies in Brahmacharya, but before you can attain Atma Jnana, their performance of our duties, that is karma anushtana or dharma anushtana, as enjoined by Shruti and Smriti, Vedas and Smritis, are compulsory. For the Vedic text which enjoins it, intends the purification of the man. Why it is compulsory? Why should one perform this Vihita karmas enjoined by, stipulated by Vedas and Smritis? It is because it is the cause of purification. It purifies an individual and helps the individual gain the fitness to obtain Atma Jnana. Right? Therefore, the prescribed duties ought to be performed for the purpose of acquisition of knowledge. The enjoin shows that papa or sin or dosha results from the violation of the command. So it is obligatory. So what is very interesting here is the principles that is enjoined in the Taittiriya Upanishad, the Shruti, is Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara. So here the Satya, as we saw, is a principle of Samanya Dharma. Similarly, having children is, though it is part of Grihastha Dharma, it is also Samanya Dharma. It is applicable to all people. All those who have desires. Right? So, therefore, here the Satyam Vada and there is Dharmam Chara. So, Dharma is again, we saw that it is Samanya Dharma and also Vishesha Dharma. And Satya is also Samanya Dharma. So, basically, it is positing ethical principles of Samanya Dharma as a Vidhi. It is not a choice. It is obligatory. It is a Vidhivakya whose result, when you perform it, the result is it leads to purification of the mind. It results in one attaining the fitness, one attaining the competencies required to pursue Atma Jnana and attain Atma Jnana. And because it is a Vidhivakya, it is stipulated by the Shastra, there is its violation leads to generation of Papa, a dosha, karmic demerit. Therefore, when we think about the Samanya Dharma, the Satya, Asteya, Ahimsa, etc., they are not just good values that we may opt when it is convenient to us, but they are the duties, they are obligations. They are compulsorily to be adhered to. They have been prescribed through the Vidhivakya by the Shastras as obligatory, and whose violation results in karmic demerit. So this is an idea that we must keep in mind about Samanya Dharma. This is a very unique, very important insight from our Shastras. Next, so I have a book, entire book on Samanya Dharma titled Samanya Dharma, Ethical Principles, Ethical Tenets, Common to All. So this is the full title. It's available on Amazon. Interested can check out. Now coming to, as I mentioned, Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Shaucham, Indriya, Nigraham. These are the 5 principles given in the Manusmriti. There are Bhagavad Purana lists 33 principles. There are all the texts, different texts. We have the mention of Samanya Dharma. The most important of these 5, that is Ahimsa, is a practice of non-injury. Satya is speaking truthfulness in life. And Asteya is not appropriating or stealing something that does not rightfully belong to us. Shaucha is cleanliness, internal purity, external cleanliness. And Indriya Nigraha is control of our mind and the senses. Now, then we have Vishesha Dharma. I already mentioned it is a tailor-made Dharma. And this is a very wonderful passage. This is from a book by Krishna Prasad Sharma. His book is called Shri Karapatri Ek Adhyayan. It's a Hindi book on Shri Karapatri Maharaj. And there in his work, he summarizes this Vishesha Dharma. Krishna Prasad Sharma ji summarizes in a very wonderful manner. So I'm just going to read it. It's in Hindi. I'll just render it as I read. Vishesh Dharma. देश, जाति, काल, व्यक्ति विशेष की स्वाभाविक परिस्थिति के अनुसार जो धर्म है उन्हें विशेष धर्म कहते हैं. So what it is saying, देश, location or geography, जाति or the group or the kula or the group, kala, time, vyakti vishesh, that is that which is special or marked by an individual, or that which is specifically relevant to a particular individual. All this swabhavik paristhiti ke anusar, jo natural conditions, as per the natural conditions of all these different markers, whatever dharma is there, that is Vishesha Dharma. So what are the markers? The geography, desha, kala, time, jati. Jati could be here the in the sense of a community, a kula, or in sense of grouping of an individual. So even you have Purusha Jati, wherein all are male. So the Jati here has a meaning of a group, right? So all the markers, all those naturally exist, the markers such as geography, time, human groups, or any individual specific aspects in their natural condition, all these, any dharma, any obligations, any duties that arise out of this natural existence, those dharmas are called as Vishesha Dharma. And then he gives example. जैसे भारतवर्ष में वर्णाश्रम धर्म अन्य अपूर्ण प्रकृति वाले देशों का तादृश विभिन्न म्लेच्छ धर्म दैशिक विशेष धर्म है. So then he gives example for dharma based on desha, that is based on geography. In Bharatvarsh, in this Punya Bhumi, we have Varnashrama Dharma, Dharma assigned, Dharma, dharmic methods, dharmic paths toward for Abhyudaya Nishrayasa, understood based on an individual's ritual state, which is Varna. See, there is a lot of confusion about what is Varna is. I have a very large essay on what Varna exactly is from a Shastriya perspective in my new book. This is the Chatushloki Manusmriti that you see in the wallpaper. I won't go there detail for the lack of time. But to put it simply, Varna, this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra designation, they are designations about ritual competencies, ritual eligibility. They are designations which tell something about the kind of divine essence, the Adhyatmika essence that we have inherited when we take birth. And based on that, certain kind of dharmas are there, certain methods of dharma, certain ritualistic practices have been given by the Shastras, through which an individual can attain well-being. That's it. So these kind of Varna Ashrama Dharma is present in Bharatavarsha. But in other nations, wherein the prakriti of the people is apurna, not fully developed, not fully spiritually oriented as in Bharatavarsha, there they have their own mlecha dharma. See, mlecha here means anything who is outside of Varnashrama dharma, anything who is outside of Bharatavarsha. So there they have their own dharma. So we saw in the past, the Greeks had their own civilization, the Romans had their own way of life, there is Islamic way of life, there is Christian way of life, they have their own practices. So we cannot even classify these Abrahamic religions as dharma. But here dharma means they have certain elements of practice, certain elements of dharma in them, which define how they are living their life. Right? Now, so that is classification as per geography. Even within India, there are certain practices of dharma which are unique to South India. There are certain practices of dharma which are unique to East India. So these are all desha-based classification of dharma, Vishesha dharma. Next he says, Stri, Purush, Arya, Yavan, Khun, Kush, किरात आदि के विभिन्न जाति विशेष धर्म हैं. So I mentioned jati is about grouping. Any particular kind of grouping of a human being. This is basically a sociological grouping. It could be gender-based grouping also. There is Stri and Purush. Stri dharma, Purush dharma. So a woman because of her biology, she has certain different types of dharma. Similarly, a man also, because of his biology, his nature, etc., has certain different types of dharma. So Stri dharma, Purush dharma. Similarly, different groups of human beings such as Arya, Yavan, the Greeks, Puna, Kirat. So Kirat, I think perhaps refers to the tribal, the forest-dwelling communities. So different communities, different kulas, or today what we call is different castes. Again, I don't like the term caste because it is very vague. We don't know what we are applying for. Basically, the different kulas, different jatis, different communities that we see on the ground, all of them, they have their own family practices, have their own inherited practices. So all these are their Vishesha dharmas, right? As long as these dharmas of different communities, they do not violate the first principles of dharma as mentioned, as enunciated in Shruti Smriti and other Shastras, all they are considered as Sad Dharma Sadachara only. Example for Kala Vishesha Dharma, the time-based Vishesha Dharma, he mentions Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga, Din, Ratri, Prabhat, Sayankala, Adi, Kal Vyavastha. So any Vyavastha, anything that is done by taking time as the marker. So we have this Yuga Dharma. Manusmriti says that in the Satyuga, tapas was the main dharma. In Treta Yuga, I think Yajna was the main dharma, and Dwapara, the Swadhyaya, I have forgotten the exact verse. But in Kali Yuga, Dana is the main dharma. In some Puranas, they say in Kali Yuga, Bhakti is the main dharma. So that is, there is Yuga Vishesha. It is not that other dharmas have stopped functioning today, but that there are certain Yuga Vishesha dharmas that gives the most beneficial results to us. That easily gives, compared to others, that most easily gives us Abhyudaya Nishreyas. So there is Yuga Dharma is different for different yugas. So some dharma such as, Niyoga, which was practiced in Mahabharata at times, that is in Treta Yuga or Dwapar Yuga, is considered as adharma today. It is considered as Kalivarjya, that is to be given up in Kali Yuga. Similarly, there are certain dharmas to be done in the morning time, in the Prabhat. You say, get up in the Brahma Muhurat, do your Nitya Karma, etc. So that is the duties to be performed in the morning. Similarly, when you get up, you do this Karagre Vasate Lakshmi, right? That is also kind of something which is done only when you get up in the morning, right after you get up in the morning. So this is also time based. Similarly, the Sandhya Upasana, it has to be done only during the Sandhya time. When the morning transforms into evening and the evening transitions into night, right? So, sorry, I meant when the night transitions into morning and the daytime transitions into night, then you do this Sandhya Upasana. So these are all dharma specific to Kala. And then व्यक्ति विशेष द्वारा पालनीय धर्म भी सनातन धर्म ही है। राज धर्म, पुत्र का धर्म, गुरु का धर्म, शिष्य का धर्म, पिता का धर्म, पत्नी, सेवक, स्वामी, सखा, बाल, वृद्धा आदि सब विशेष धर्म होते हैं। So what is this व्यक्ति विशेष धर्म? So the व्यक्ति विशेष धर्म basically refers to dharma of an individual based on perhaps a nature of the individual, or based on the functional role of an individual, or his relationship wise, the kind of relationship he has with others, or the kind of a social function he's performing with others. See, all these factors determines different kinds of dharmas arise from that. That is Vishesha Dharma. So the examples he gives is Raj Dharma. If you are a king, then you have a Raja Dharma of protecting your subjects, looking at facilitating well-being of all your citizens, maintaining law and order, punishing the wicked, punishing the criminals. Raja Dharma. In relation to Raja, all the people of the place becomes Praja. So there is also Praja Dharma. What kind of duties an individual have towards the state, towards the society, etc. Similarly, Putrika Dharma and Pitaka Dharma. So as a children, we have certain duties, certain behaviors that are expected of us, certain right conduct that is expected of us. And as a father, there are certain duties expected of the father, that a father should protect the children, should ensure the well-being of the children, should provide the necessary resources for the children's growth, such and so forth. Similarly, Mata ka dharma, Putrika or Putrika dharma, there is there, right? Putra doesn't mean here only the son. It could also be the daughter, any children. Guru ka dharma, Shishya ka dharma. There are certain duties for the teacher, certain duties for the student. Pati ka dharma, Patni ka dharma. In the context of marriage, there are certain duties for the husband, certain duties for the wives. Sevak ka dharma, Swami ka dharma. So, as the head of the household, you have certain duties towards the servants you employ, or any employees. If you are a head of a corporate or company or a business, then you have certain duties towards your employees. The sevak here means it could be your household help, or it could be a employee in your company. They have their own duties towards the organization, towards the owner. Sakha Dharma, you have certain expectations, certain duties, certain good conduct with respect to friends. Bala Dharma, Vriddha Dharma. So there are certain Vishesha Dharma when you are children. There are certain kinds of Dharma when you are Vriddha. So for example, if you are a child, then you have to focus on studying. So the Vidya Arjana is also the duty. Focusing on skill development, on gaining knowledge, on studying and developing good habits. All these are Bala Dharma. And listening to your parents, listening to your elders, especially the good advisors of them, practicing them. See, all are Baladharma. Whereas we have Vriddha Dharma, that is when you have grown old, you have to take to Vanaprastha, even if not literally going to the forest, but even in a more internal sense, one has to withdraw from too much engagement in the external world. One has to withdraw from grahastha duties. One should not too much interfere in your children's life. One should withdraw from life and prepare oneself for eventual departure by focusing upon more on Adhyatma. So that is Vriddha Dharma, right? So all these Vishesha Dharmas, there are n numbers. So I hope you appreciate why there is a enunciation of Vishesha Dharma. It is not enough to state that Samanya Dharma, because Samanya Dharma becomes often abstract principle. So being abstract, it is very useful because it can be used to analyze anything and everything even today. So any issue, for example, there is population explosion or there is environmental pollution. We can analyze it using the framework of Ahimsa Satya Asteyam Shaucham Indriya Nigra. However, at the same time, we also, because of being abstract in some nature, we need to also have more tailor-made analysis of what is dharma, what is not in human context, because we don't exist in isolation, but we live in the society, we interact with people, we have our family, our friends, our community, our country, right? Therefore, Vishesha Dharma is very important. And Vishesha Dharma is, in a sense, has the Samanya Dharma as its foundation. It is an extension, a particularized, specialized extension of Samanya Dharma itself. Now, a bit more, I have already explained this, but in some way, I'll just, to help you at a macro level, how to interpret the text. What we have just discussed, I will put it in a different language. The enunciation of Dharma, therefore, when you read the text, read Manusmriti or AL2CCSD or any of the Smritis or even Mahabharata or Purana, etc., whenever you teach that, read the text regarding teachings about their Dharma, what you have to do first is to locate where the teaching is coming from. We have to particularly exactly locate what is the frame of reference. Where is that particular discourse of Dharma is situated in the larger picture. So we get an idea about this very clearly in Manusmriti, which locates Dharma or Dharma discourse or principles of Dharma cosmologically, temporally. Cosmologically is Desha, but not just geography, but in very larger sense of the universe. Cosmologically, temporally, that is time specific. Teleologically, functionally, and relationally. Teleologically means towards what end. Functionally means what kind of function an individual is performing. Relationally means how we are related to other individuals. In the Manusmriti first chapter itself, we get this idea. When the rishis ask Maharshi Manu about teacher's dharma, he does not straight away jump to teaching do this, don't do this. Rather, he gives a account of Srishti. And from there, he comes down to the dharma. So it shows that He locates dharma cosmologically, temporally, and then teleologically. For the lack of time, we won't go into detail. I will be sharing this presentation so anybody can read them. But in the first chapter, what kind of location of dharma, cosmological location, the text does is, it first undertakes an enunciation of the manifestation of Sankhyan categories such as Prakriti, Mahat, Tanmatras, Mahabhutas, and then different objects and beings such as Yajna, Devata, Sadhyas, Veda, Dharma, Adharma, and then it enumerates the manifestation of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, etc., as well as other beings such as non-human beings such as Yaksha, Rakshasa, Pishacha, Gandharva, Apsaras, Asuras, Nagas, Sarpas, Pitris, and all these things are enumerated. So what actually the first chapter is doing is, it is saying, look, we should not base a discourse on Dharma on anthropocentricity. We should shift the focus from anthropocentric narrative. Anthropocentricity means a human-centric discourse. Most of the discourse in contemporary world is anthropocentric, which places humans at the center of the universe, and we are the greatest beings, we are the greatest creatures, and therefore we have the right to exploit nature, we have the right to take for ourselves whatever we want. So this is a narrative rooted in human greed and human ego. Manusmriti wants to shift our focus from such a discourse on Dharma to a cosmocentric discourse. By locating human beings in the larger scheme of the universe, in the larger cosmology, as only one among the different beings of the universe, there's an understanding that Manushya Dharma is one aspect of the larger Dharma of different beings and sum total of the larger Rita of the universe. So we are inseparable part of the universe, but we are not the universe themselves. So cosmological location of Dharma is significant for understanding the teachings of Dharma Shastra, as it not only provides an anchorage point to center our discussions on Dharma, but also provides a reference point to cosmologically locate ourselves in these discussions. So what are the examples of such cosmological location? The notion of Manushya Dharma, Devata Dharma, Rishi Dharma, Brahmana Dharma, Kshatriya Dharma, these are all a kind of cosmological location only. And then we have, so if you remember, when we take any sankalpa for any of our dharmic activities, we start with what, Jambu Dvipe, Bharata Varshe, Bharata Khande, and before that we also mentioned which yuga, which kalpa we are there, right? So these are all cosmological and temporal location. So the time aspect, Shweta Varaha Kalpa, Vaivasvata Manvantara and all is temporal location, whereas the Jambu Dvipe, Bharata Varsha, Bharata Khande, all these are cosmological location, geographical location. Temporal, we already discussed, we will not go into it. We have the Yuga, Manvantara, Kalpa and all the Dharma. As per that, there is Yuga Dharma, Kali Varjya, that which is to not be done in Kali Yuga. And then based on the eclipses, there are certain Dharma to be done when there is Surya Grahana, when there is Chandra Grahana. And we already saw other times, Dharma to be done in the morning time, in the evening time, in the Sandhya time. Then there is teleologically locating Dharma. So what is this teleological location? We have to understand where exactly this Dharma that we have to be doing, the Varna Dharma, Ashrama Dharma, the Desha Dharma, Kala Dharma, the Putra Dharma, Pitta Dharma, and all. Why should we do it? What is the purpose? What is the relationship of Dharma to moksha? So that is the teleological connection. Manusmriti specifically brings out this connection. It locates Dharma teleologically. What it does is, it does this by making the discourse of Dharma a subset of the discourse of cosmology. So I mentioned, when the rishis asked Manu for a teaching about Dharma, he does not straight away jump to the teachings of do's and don'ts, Vidhi Nisheda. But he first gives a discourse on cosmogony, Srishti. And then as the anga of it, as a limb of it, he gives a discussion, he gives the teaching about Vidhi and Nisheda, do's and don'ts. He gives an enunciation of Varnashrama Dharma. So Kulluka Bhatta, in his commentary on this portion, he says that the discourse on cosmogony in the first chapter is nothing but an enunciation of Brahma Tattva. Enunciation of Brahma Tattva leading to Atma Jnana. Therefore, this itself is Paramadharma. See, how do we know Srishti is Brahma Tattva? In the Brahma Sutras also we have a definition about Brahman is the creator of the universe. In Taittiriya Upanishad, we say that which is the creator of the universe, in which whom the universe exists and into whom the universe dissolves into, know that as Brahman. Therefore, the enunciation of the Srishti is the enunciation of Paramadharma. It is the highest duty, Paramadharma, and as a subset of that Paramadharma, this discourse of the transactional worldly principles of Dharma, namely such as samskaras, varnashrama dharma, etc., are given in the second chapter onwards. So this main discourse of Dharma, of the varnashrama dharma, the samskaras and other aspects, Rajadharma, etc., they constitute the limb or a subset of the Paramadharma. Therefore, Manusmriti teleologically locates Dharma as a limb or a subset of the spiritual pursuit of moksha. And this practice of this Varnashrama Dharma also serves as a means to attain moksha. So, a pursuit of Pravritti Dharma of the nature of Varnashrama Dharma leads one to purification of the mind, Chitta Shuddhi, thereby giving one competency to pursue Nivritti Dharma, which results in moksha. You see the connection between Dharma and moksha? So this is why it is very important to keep these ideas at the back of the mind when you are studying Dharma Shastra. Otherwise, something pops up in the text and you suddenly say, oh, why is this there? This is not in the context. This is problematic. This does not fit into our moral ideas, contemporary moral ideas. Oh, this is problematic. We have to always keep in the mind when we are studying the Dharma Shastra that its purpose is not hegemony, its purpose is not to control anybody, its purpose is not to give force anybody to do anything. Its purpose is to teach path, method by which Abhyudaya and Nishrayasa can be attained. It is a purpose is to enunciate Dharma, which is a means to attain moksha. So if we keep these fundamental ideas in the back, then we will begin to ask questions. Oh, there is a different meaning to these verses? Is there a deeper layer to understand? So on and so forth. Functionally and relationally locating Dharma. Again, we already done this. What Karapatri Swami mentioned as Vyakti Vishesh Dharma, right? In the book on Karapatri Swami mentions that. So the Vyakti Vishesh could be both functionally located and relationally located. And this relationally location is also a kind of a subset of functional location only. So Manusmriti, for example, locates Dharma functionally under the headings such as Varna Dharma, Ashrama Dharma, Purusha Dharma, Stri Dharma, Raja Dharma. So Raja Dharma is duty of a king. In Varna Dharma, we have Brahmana. So Brahmanas have certain duties. Adhyapana, Adhyayana, Adhyapana. You study the Veda, you teach the Veda. You perform yagyas for yourself. You perform ritualistic duties such as yagya, etc. for others. Similarly, Kshatriya protect the world, protect the kingdom, protect the people, punish the wicked, punish the criminals. The Vaishya Varna Dharma is create wealth for the society, build big businesses, big corporates. But for the Loka Kalyanam, do lots of dana, not just build wealth and keep it to yourself out of greed. Do a lot of charity, lot of dana to help the society prosper with your own self. That is Vaishya Dharma. Then there is Shudra Dharma, to nurture the society, to do the portion of the society through various arts, various skill-based functions in the society, by various service industries. So all these support activities, all these nurturing activities are the function of the Shudra Varna. So these are functional understanding of it. There is ritualistic understanding of Varnashrama Dharma, but there is also functional understanding. They are closely related, but different aspects. Purusha Dharma, there is certain duties, certain functions. Stri Dharma, there is certain duties, certain functions. Raja Dharma, Praja Dharma, all these are function. In the context of men and women, men can be fathers, they are sons, they are husbands. So functionally, they are certain duties. Similarly, women can be mothers, they can be spouses, wives, they can be daughters. Functionally, there are certain duties. Of course, both men and women in a corporate or any working people, they have their own duties, functional duties. As managers or as employees, as CEOs, right? These are functional differences. And as I mentioned, the relational duties, dharma, locating dharma relationally, is also a subset of functional duties itself, wherein the relation is basically about the obligations a person has towards others that arises out of the nature of relationship one shares with the other person. So the example was husband, wife, father, mother, son, daughter, teacher, student, etc. So a comprehensive understanding of dharma is only possible when in any given situation, one is able to identify the different strands of dharma located in this cosmological, temporal, teleological, functional, and relational levels, and their mutual interplay in a given situation. So this is very important, not just when you are studying the Smriti Shastras or Dharma Shastras in general and trying to make sense of it, but it is also very important in how you pursue life. There the life is complicated and you are always put into situations wherein there may be 2 or 3 different principles of dharma at function. You have to figure out a configuration of how to approach, how to go forward. Sometimes, if possible, you can reconcile all of them and pursue, make a choice, life choice, such that all of them are fulfilled. But oftentimes, you have to decide between which to choose and which not to choose. Sometimes you have to give up certain dharma for some greater principles of dharma, and your choice determines the kind of life trajectory you're going to take, as well as the kind of merit or demerit you will acquire. See, one good example if this such dharma sankata is in the Mahabharata war. Yudhishthira had to say, for the sake of greater principle of the need to win the war, the Dharma Yuddha, and defeat the adharmic forces personified by the Kauravas, especially the Duryodhana, Yudhishthira had to lie, or a half truth. No, Ashwattama Hatakunjaraha.
So the Drona was made to hear only Ashwatthama Hatha. When the Kunjara was spoken, he was not made to hear. So it was kind of a half-truth kind of thing. Yudhishthira faced the consequences of it. It is said that Yudhishthira used to float when he walked. He did not walk fully on the ground, a few inches above the ground. That was the result of his practice of Satya and other dharmas completely in life. But because of this kind of half-truth, he lost that ability. That is a story I have heard. I'm not sure whether it is in the Vyasa Mahabharata. But the point is, it is instructive because it shows that sometimes you have to give up certain practice of dharma for the greater good. On the other hand, we have the counter example also in Mahabharata. Bhishma took a pratigya out of his loyalty to the father. Some may even say Pitru Moha, attachment to the father. While taking his vow, he did not take into consideration. He did not take into consideration that he was a Yuvaraja. He had a responsibility towards his citizens. For a Raja or a Raja designate, all other human relations are secondary. His duty towards the kingdom and towards his citizens are foremost. Unfortunately, Bhishma, because of his attachment and love and loyalty towards his father, he forgot this. And after he took that vow, he is called Bhishma because he never deviated from the vow. So while not deviating from that vow is a good thing, but it also caused a lot of issues because he did not want to give up this whatever shapath, the oath that he has taken. It resulted in the fall of the Kurukula itself. It resulted in the great Mahabharata war, which caused great himsa, killed hundreds of thousands of millions of people. Bhishma was the righteous heir to the throne. If seeing the larger picture, he might not have imagined even in his wild dreams perhaps that his choice would lead to the great Mahabharata war, the Kurukshetra war and the destruction of the Kulas. If he was able to do that, perhaps he would have made a different choice. But nevertheless, even when he was saying that things were going down the wrong path, even then he refused to deviate from his vow. He refused to take up the throne for himself. You see, he chose a personal oath over his larger duty of Rajadharma, and as a result, here in this case, there were great destruction.
Excuse me, Sridharji, it's...
I'm concluding. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm concluding.
Right.
We are almost towards the end. This is the last slide. We have already discussed this. This is just some examples from the Manusmriti about what we discussed about different kinds of Vishesha Dharma. I already mentioned about different duties of Brahmana, Kshatriya, etc. Right? Similarly, in one place, Manusmriti speaks about duty of a Guru Dharma. How we should teach and what kind of discipline he should teach the student. Similarly, there is a duty of Shishya, how he should pay respects to his teachers and how he should begin his study of the subjects, etc. Similarly, in the context of marriage, there is different nature of duty for a husband and wife. Same for daughters and fathers, and that is parents and daughters and all. So with this, we conclude the session. This already a lot of time has happened. I am available. I can take questions if it is okay. Or otherwise, we will conclude as it is. Thank you very much. Namaste. Shri Guru.
Thank you, Sridhar ji. I mean, it was very interesting, and we will take up the questions after the Pradhana. Babu garu.
Okay. Thank you, Sridharji. Thank you so much for you have made a lot of preparation for these 3 sessions. Now we will go for Prarthana. Jai Shri Ji.
स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महिं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितो ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः अपुत्राः पुत्रिणः सन्तु पुत्रिणः सन्तु पौत्रिणः अधनाः सधनाः सन्तु जीवन्तु शरदां शतं सत्यं वद धर्मं चर स्वाध्यायान्मा प्रमदः सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सर्वे जनाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तसन्मङ्गलानि सन्तु स्वस्ति
सर्वे जना सुखिनो भवन्तु.
ధన్యవాదాలు గురుగారు.
ధన్యవాదములండి జయశ్రీ గారు. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. నౌ విల్ గో ఫర్ నేషనల్ యాంథమ్. చల్లా చిట్టిబాబు గారు ప్లీజ్.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जनगण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय जय
జై హింద్. ధన్యవాదములండి చల్లా చిట్టిబాబు గారు. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. లెట్స్ కంటిన్యూ విత్ క్వశ్చన్ ఆన్సర్ సెషన్.
Yeah, thank you, Sridhar ji. Now we have the question and answer sessions. Yeah. Okay. What is the significance of, just a minute. What is the significance of Dharma at individual, family, social, universal levels and our relationships at each level?
I think I addressed this already in the
Yes.
session, so we may take some other questions.
Right, thank you. Varaprasad garu.
Namaste ji.
Yes, namaste.
I have a question. Yesterday you told about every shaka will have one Upanishad, na?
Okay.
I want to know about my shaka. That is the Apastamba Yajushaka. What is the Upanishad belongs to me?
See, I think Apastamba will be Krishna
Yajurveda.
Yajurveda Shaka, right?
Upanishad.
So we'll have to see the which Upanishad this. I think I'm trying to recall.
Ah,
You can get this information simply by Google search, you know.
Google.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
So
Google Guruji will tell that.
yes, yes, because we don't remember everything on hand. So if I
Ah.
remember correctly, the Shukla Yajurveda Shaka, they have Isha Upanishad, etc.
Ah.
So the Krishna Yajurveda Shakas, there are a lot of Upanishads also there also.
Okay, but Google is correct for all these in-depth knowledge of our ancient Indian
Yeah,
science.
you will have to see where it is mentioned. So some websites are authentic, some it is not. So
Can you, if you don't mind, can you please put your mobile number in the chat box? We will connect with any kind of references and doubts are there.
I'll share my email ID. You can send an email to me.
Email ID.
Yeah.
I think mobile is okay now. We can easily share WhatsApp.
When he is saying email ID, please understand. So we will share the email ID. You can put your questions. He'll answer you. Right?
Yeah. So I will prefer email ID
Right.
because it's not that I don't use WhatsApp, but I don't use it frequently. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. We will take up the other question. Sharma ji.
Namaskar, Guruji. My question is, how do you determine the role of free will vis-a-vis your destiny, that is your sanchit and prarabdha karma? Generally, there is a debate. People say that everything is predestined. You are bound by the prarabdha and the sanchit. Whereas the modern people, they say that everything can be determined by your own actions and your free will. So how do you balance these two?
It's a very, very wonderful question. I think something that always comes up. So before that, I just found the previous question about the Upanishad for Krishna Yajurveda Shaka. It is Taittiriya Upanishad and Katha Upanishad. Katha Upanishad and Taittiriya Upanishad. So because I had it in mind, but I was not remembering at that moment. Okay, so this is a very wonderful question. They say this is a very old question. Fate versus free will, right? Whether fate is stronger, whether free will is stronger, whether it is but a very good answer is that it is a false dichotomy. There is actually no two entity called fate and free will. So there is a wonderful book called Dialogues with a Guru, wherein somebody posed this question to Jagadguru Shankaracharya Chandrasekhara Bharati Swamigal of Sringeri Sharda Peetham. So he answers that this is a false dichotomy, that there are two entities called fate and free will. But the fact is there is only one entity, namely karma. Fate refers to the karmas that you performed previously. It could be in your past lives or in the past in this life. So karmas performed in the past lives, in the past, which are giving the fruit today, you call it as fate. That is what is prarabdha is. As I explained, sanchita karma is the sum total of all the karmas we did in the past, and a particular portion of it which is ready to give fruits is called as prarabdha. It is giving fruits in this life. Whereas free will is the exertion of the karma here and now, which will in turn give fruits in the future. So what was free will in the past has become fate now when it is giving the fruits. So how we respond to that situations, how we respond to that situations created out of that prarabdha karma constitutes the free will today and which will give results in the future. So it is not a, there is no two different entities eternally fighting it out with each other. There is only our karmas. What we did before, what we are doing now, and what we will do in future. I hope this clarifies.
Thank you. Beautifully explained. Thank you so much.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the prarabdha karma and the agami, if these two are understood properly, all the doubts on dharma will get clarified and we can live a dharmic life the way it is. Okay, Amar Singh ji.
Shubhodaya, Namaskar, sir, Guruji. I have a question regarding Dharma Sutras and Sastras. The law, when the king was ruling, they used to use these Dharma Sutras and Dharma Sastras to give punishment or to give judgment, right?
Go
Okay.
ahead with the
What is the question? Yeah, go ahead.
The question is in the current scenario, the way, see, I am doing law. So I was trying to understand that how these Dharma Sutras and Shastras can be used. Because it's very, in ancient time it was there, now currently the situations are different. So just I want to know that interlinkage, how it can be.
Okay, wonderful question. You see, Dharma Shastras was the backbone of our legal jurisprudence for pretty much most of our history. But the Smriti Shastras are not like constitution books. So, today we have a particular book of constitution and everybody has to adhere to it perfectly, and it is implemented by the hegemony of the state. But this is not the case as far as Smriti Granthas are concerned. They were, and there are not single Smritis, there are 18 to 20 major Smritis, but they were all used as knowledge banks, as textbooks, as reference material from which legal judgments were made. So in the previous setup, in the pre-colonial, or rather in the classical India setups, the courts, the judges of the courts were supposed to be trained in the Dharma Shastras, in the Vedas, Dharma Shastras, the Smriti Shastras and all. And based on their training and knowledge of the teachings of this, they gave judgments. They analyzed the situations and based on different factors, both the Shastriya factors, but as well as the factors on the ground, the matters of the facts on the ground, they gave judgments. Now, you said that today's situations have changed and challenges have changed. Very true. But in the matters of law, there is a lot of elements which are very common. Say, if you see the Manusmriti, there are in the civil laws that are mentioned there, the contract laws or even the criminal laws, the kind of, the murder, theft. See, these exist even today. People commit the rape. Even today, they committed rape in the 2000 years before. They committed murder then. Even today, they are committing murder. There are theft today. There were theft in the past. Similarly, the contracts, social contracts, financial contracts, the inheritance. All these issues are common. It is not something that is only happening today, and it was not happening in the past, right? So there is lot of scope for bringing Dharma Shastras into picture, even in today's law. See, the issue is today our legal jurisprudence, constitution and everything is by definition secular. That means it is by definition atheistic in nature. And as such, it does not subscribe to the pramanas of Dharma, namely Dharma Shastra. It does not subscribe to ontology and epistemology of Dharma. It is for this reason it has become divorced from our dharmic ideals. Otherwise, there is lot of common elements even today between the legal aspects that are discussed, and many places the Smriti ideals are also taken even in the present constitution. See, in Manusmriti, for example, 18 kinds of civil disputes are recognized, such as non-payment of debt, deposits, selling without ownership, joint concerns, non-delivery of what has been given away, non-payment of wages, breach of contract, rescission of sale and purchase, dispute between owner and the keeper, disputes between regarding boundaries, assault, physical and verbal assault, theft, violence, adultery, duties of man and wife, the domestic disputes, partition, gambling, betting. See, these are all the cases, civil and criminal, that are happening even today. It is not that this was only relevant in the past. The only thing that is needed today is, see, there are going to be certain things when it comes to Dharma Shastra. As I mentioned, the legal jurisprudence comes under Vyavahara. The Dharma Shastra authors themselves recognize Vyavahara by definition has to do with the transactional nature of the world, has to do with socio-political conditions, has to do with the material facts on the ground. So there is the eternal element that Smriti Shastras bring with, but there are also the changing nature of the society which has to be taken into account. So unlike Achara and Prayashchitta, which are deal with Adrishta Phalas, therefore they are eternally valid. You cannot simply tweak them as it is. The Vyavahara portion can be tweaked based on our contemporary situation. I'll give you one example. So in the Dharma Shastras, in the Smriti Shastras, you will see lot of punishments or Prayashchitta, etc. The whole narrative about this discussion about punishment, etc. They do it through the prism of Varna Dharma. So they say at one place, a Brahmana who consumes alcohol, for him the Prayashchitta or the punishment is that he has to burn himself by consuming hot liquor. That is the only way he will be able to get rid of the karmic demerit. But such punishment does not exist for those who are not Dvijas. For those who are the common people, for the rest of society, this is not applicable. It is only applicable for the Brahmanas. How do you explain this? In another place, they give certain punishments which are more for a Shudra and less for a Brahmana. Or some punishments which are more for a Brahmana and less for others. See, all kinds of this you will see, and immediately our first instinct is, oh, this is outdated. Oh, this is problematic. Let us stop for a while and think from what we just discussed in the last 3 sessions. It is not saying a particular act becomes dharma when performed by a person and adharma when performed by another person. A murder or a theft or anything of such kind wherein somebody is harmed, it is adharma for everybody. But in the what Dharma Shastra is bringing a unique perspective here is, it is also speaking from the perspective of a ritualistic state of a person. See, this Brahmana Kshatriya is a ritualistic designation. These are not Laukika designation. So this ritualistic designation has a particular meaning. When it is said Brahmana, the meaning is from a Brihadaranyaka Upanishad explains, there is a Brahma Tattva, Brahmanya exists in an individual that makes him a Brahmana. Similarly, the Indradi Devatas in their essential form exists in a Kshatriya, that is what makes him a Kshatriya. So again, this is no time to go deep. You can check my book, Jagatushloke Manusmriti. So from that perspective, the magnitude of karma phala, the magnitude of punya papa generated is being designated in the Dharma Shastra as punishment and prayashchitta. However, we don't need to adopt it as it is on the ground, because it was never adopted as it is on the ground. The idea is the Vyavahara is based on the ground socio-political and other facts on the ground also. So today, if you say that, okay, we are having a jurisprudence system wherein we will not take into account the ritualistic aspects of the Dharma Shastra. As far as the Vyavahara is concerned, fine. Don't take it. Accept that there is karma phala as it is. Even if you don't give punishment today, the karma phala has to be borne by the person in next life. See, the purpose of a danda as far as Dharma Shastra is concerned is not simply to punish the criminal. It is to purify the criminal and remove the karmic demerits generated accrued to a person. Right? So we have to have such a nuanced discussion rather than abusing Manusmriti or putting them in the dustbins of the history. We have to engage with them. We don't need to accept them in the whole. We don't need to practice them in toto. We have to contextualize the teaching into contemporary situations. Manusmriti itself says, even if there is a principle of dharma which is valid, if it is not accepted by the people on the ground, then it should not be practiced. So Manusmriti itself gives these very wonderful principles to show that if, say, for example, today it is not acceptable for having a legal jurisprudence which takes into account the ritualistic distinctions made as far as punishments is concerned between Brahmana, Kshatriya, etc. That is fine. We can remove that element, but we can keep the rest of it. There is a lot to learn from it. We don't need to whitewash it. We don't need to throw it into dustbin. We don't need to call it an interpolation. We can accept it as it is and contextualize the teaching that is relevant to us today. I'm sorry I took a lot of time to answer this question. I hope I did justice to the question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, it is very, very essential to understand all these things and how to apply Manusmriti, which has been misunderstood, misquoted, and definitely not understood at all. Okay, anyway, Lakshmi Garu, you can ask your question. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
I have a small doubt. Like, as we were speaking of the Sanchita Karma and Papa, we are going to bear in our life, isn't it? And I have heard that depending upon our sins and our karma of this birth, a person belonging to Brahmana will be born in the next birth in a lower varna. Is it right? Or higher varna?
So there could be any kind of things that can happen. One could even be born as a tree. So I mentioned in my first session, if you remember, that if you perform adharma through your body, you will experience the karmic demerits, the consequences through your body. The suffering will be through the body. If you perform adharma through your speech, you will experience suffering through your speech. And if you perform adharma through your mind, then you will experience suffering in the mind. So it could result in birth, in your next birth, as anything. You can be born as a tree or as a plant or as a lion, as a tiger, as a dog, as a crow, as a cat, or it could be born in any of the communities, any of the designation, man, woman. You could be born in India, you can be born in America, you could even be born in Iran, on which nuclear bombs are dropped by America. You never know, right? So you don't need to be fixated about whether you are born as a particular varna or not. See, it is very important when we see there is lot of misconceptions about varna, and when we listen to this varna, that varna, or listen to terms such as high, low. Currently, we are trained to think that this notion of high, low, this hierarchy is bad. So so when we think that it is bad, then we feel, oh, this is high, yeah, this is good. This is low, this is bad. We should not feel like that. Dharma excludes nobody. We are all in this long road towards moksha, and this road is not a straight line. This road is actually like a DNA. you see this shape of a DNA molecule, it is spiral. And this spiral is, or if you are familiar with mathematics, it is like a sine curve. Sometimes you go up, sometimes you go down. So it is like a wave of the ocean. So because none of us are perfect, we will do some good karmas, we will do many bad karmas. And when the time comes, the Ishvara will give proper results based on our karmas. So our life is always full of both sukha and dukkha. Some areas we are very good, some areas we suffer. Somebody who is very rich, he has no financial problems, no problems to resources, but his marriage may be very bad. Day in and day out, the spouse, it may be husband, it may be wife, doesn't matter. He may be tortured by the spouse. We never know. Or some may have a very good marital life, but they will be in poverty, right? There could be n number of things, n number of permutations and combinations possible. We don't need to be afraid of it. We don't need to be think this is all something. Dharma excludes nobody. Bhagavan excludes nobody. We have to take refuge in Ishvara. We have to perform our Swadharma, our Samanya Dharma. Samanya Dharma is the very basic Vishesha Dharma that is for everybody. So, put it another way, Samanya Dharma is that Vishesha Dharma that is available to everyone. Right? So, everybody can do Samanya Dharma, everybody can do Bhagavad Bhakti. So, that is enough.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sridhar Garu.
Thank you, sir. So nicely explained.
Right.
Obliged.
Thank you.
Dhanyawada.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just would like to add, please correct me if I am wrong, that this Brahmana Janma is supposed to be the upper level, and it's most pious, and the others are slightly lower or something like that. That is only because Brahmana Janma in others, for example, in Kshatriya, there is a chance of going to the war and getting killed, or you kill someone and you do himsa. And in Sudra, you do something else. You are so you can know. And in business, anyway, there's whatever things can be done. Only in the Brahmana thing, you only learn, you only teach. You learn, you teach. There is no way of doing any other thing. So you need not. That is the reason this is the way path towards the moksha, wherein you don't do any bad karmas. There is no requirement. In all other varnas, there is a Vishesha Dharma that they are supposed to do it, and so they may tend to do so many things which are supposed to be done. But only in Brahmana Janma, that we don't have to do all those things. We have to do only simple things of learning and teaching. So I think this is where it becomes a very pious Janma to be a Brahmin. Nothing other than that.
In a sense, yes. It is not that there is only Adhyaya and Adhyapana. Rather, if you check the content of the Manusmriti as an example, the Brahmanas, the Dharma, Swadharma is maximum. The rules and regulations of their lives is so strenuous, so strict that his every moment, every hour, every minute is regulated. If we have to speak in an ideal scenario, not that what we are practicing today, because in Kali Yuga it is all we are far away from ideal. That is the nature of the Yuga. But if you see the Manusmriti, there are 2,650 verses. Majority of the portion is dedicated to regulating the life of a Brahmana. It is most disciplined, most restricted. On the other hand, there is least restrictions on the life of a Shudra and those who do not fit into any of the definition of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So they don't have even those restrictions. So here when we speak about high or low, it is very relative, and not much importance should be placed to it, because see what is the criteria we take, it will depend upon. If the criteria is money, then from a traditional definition, Vaishya is the highest because he has the greatest wealth. He is the wealth builder of a society. He is the oligarch. If you put in the current language, oligarchs are the real controllers of the society. Somebody like Elon Musk or Ambani, see, they have they control the nations. They control the destiny of the world. If you speak about political power, then Kshatriya is the highest. If you speak about demographic power, the power of the majority, the power of a person, then the demographic power is with the Shudras and the others. If you speak of only the ritualistic excellence, or excellence in terms of, here again, even when you speak of Adhyayana, Adhyapana, the special connection to Veda implies there is a ritualistic element, the Yajnika element. Only there, in that context, only the excellence of Brahmana is spoken about. That's it. The Brahmana has neither wealth, nor power, nor demography. So some people from a Laukika consideration can say that Brahmanas are truly the ones who are at the bottom end of the society. Because they are, even today, there is neither political power, nor representation, nor demographic power. There is nor any monetary wealth. There is not anything, right? So it is matter of perspective. So we don't need to, when we read Smriti Granthas, there are versions that, there are verses in Manusmriti, there's a verse says, the Brahmana is the true Adhipati of all Bhumi. All earth belongs to him. And people say that, oh, this is the discriminatory verse. See, we have to understand it is merely metaphoric description. There is, in the sense that Brahmana, through his exaltation in the ritualistic sense, he is said to own everything. It is not that in reality he is owning everything. The commentators clearly say that it is merely a metaphor. It is merely Arthavada. There is no need to attach any particular importance to that statement, except for the fact that it is highlighting the ritualistic significance of Brahmana Varna. That's it. So we have to have that background and proper reading of this text. Only then we can make proper sense of it. Otherwise, because of without lack of proper training and because of our alienation from our tradition due to colonial education and our contemporary interiorization of Western enlightenment values, we will end up, making wrong interpretation of these texts.
Okay, thank you very much, Sridharji. It's a very exhaustive subject, and yeah, thank you. It was a very nice session, though a very lengthy one. Hope everyone has understood or felt nice about the lecture. Thank you very much. Babu garu.
Okay, let us all thank Sridhar Garu for taking 3 lectures on Dharma Sastras. Now we are going to have another 2 sessions on Monday and Tuesday from him to cover what is Dharma from Mahabharata. On various aspects of Dharma he will cover. Till then, tomorrow and day after, we will have Sanskritam classes. Let me stop recording here.